Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with a project for how to make some mixed media papers for my signatures. And I wanted to find a way that I could use some of the vintage music pages and book pages from my stash. But they need to be fortified because they're very fragile. If you fold them, they will just tear. So I thought I would use some gesso and other things to make these stronger. So I also had a request to do a video on how I do dyed paper using acrylic inks. So I have a variety of acrylic inks here. This is a transparent raw umber. I've got this sap green. I've got a muted pink, a muted turquoise, and some other colors here. I'm not going to show you all of them. And then I've got some tools here to apply my gesso. You can use whatever you have. If you want to use a brush, you could use a credit card. I just don't know where all my cut up credit cards are currently because I haven't been doing a lot of mixed media. So I've got 3 choices here just because I tend to go through things pretty fast. I use a lot of paintbrushes and things like that in my process. So I will apologize in advance for what you're going to be able to see and not see. Again, because my setup is different. I don't have, my camera is not up as high as it was, so I can't really get as wide of a view of what I'm doing as I could have before. So hopefully this is going to be okay. I've got some newspaper. I'm trying to point. I've got some newspaper over there to put wet paper on and kind of do that back and forth transition. I've got this. This is just an IKEA Trofast bucket that I thought I would use in case I want to do some. I think I'll do some dyeing in here first. But you know what? I just remembered I don't have any water. So I'm going to pause really quick and I'll be right back. I'm going to grab some water. Okay, so I've got some water heating up. And so I'm going to wait for that, but we've got a little bit of time because I need to get these gessoed first. So I'm going to go ahead and set my bucket to the side. And we're going to start just applying some gesso. I also pulled out some gold. This is like gold paper. Oh, I can't think of what it's called right now. You guys will know as soon as I start using it, but it's stuck in a drawer and I always forget about it. So I thought we would use that. So I've got my gesso. And I am going to use both regular gesso and clear gesso. So this is clear gesso from Art Basics, and then this is Liquitex gesso. So, and the reason why I'm going to do both is because I don't want to cover up all of the music. And so, oh, that's really, is that dried up or? Nope, it's not. I don't want to cover up all these words, but I still do need to fortify. So I thought that I would use, I would just like have some of this peek through. So we'll see. I actually will probably go in with some gesso, clear gesso first. And then if I want to add more, I can do that. So I'm just going to spread these out. These are just from a book that I just got. Really, really beautiful. Is this? Yeah, really beautiful. Can't remember what the book was. I've showed it in my previous video, my vintage share. So I'm just going to go and start with the big ones first, and then we'll move on to the little ones. So again, I apologize. Some of this is going to be off camera for you. So just know that I'm not even centered here. So let me fix myself here. Goodness gracious. So I'm going to have to just work with what I have though. So I'm going to go in with some clear gesso first. So I'm just dipping my thing in here. This is really thick. I'm going to get my other bottle because I think that that's going to cause a problem because it's older. So let me grab my newer deal of clear gesso if I can find it. I'm so sorry, you guys. I am clearly was not completely prepared for this. So yeah, and I also have gold gesso. That might be pretty. I just got this for Christmas. Oh, so I might try to use that as well. Let's see. Forgot about that. Haven't used it yet. Okay, here's my other clear gesso. This one will work better because it's newer. It's the same brand. So yeah, that's much better. So I'm just going to dip in here and I'm just going to apply clear gesso everywhere. And again, what gesso does is it's a primer. So what it will do is it will create kind of a coating on this paper that will help it to be more stable, because again, it is very old. So let me just do that, and I will probably just speed that process up for you. So my hope is by putting this on these edges that it's going to help strengthen them a little bit. And it's also going to leave some texture behind, which is lovely. So just trying to get all that covered up. I'm going to set these aside. I'm just going to move through all my papers all at once, and then I'll be back for the next step. Okay, while I'm here though, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of white gesso as well. So I'm just going to use my palette knife and my white gesso. So I don't want to cover up all the words, right? Because we want to be able to see those, don't we? Peeking through. We'll have to do the back sides, obviously, but I will probably cut that out because everything's got to dry to do that. So, and I'm just using my palette knife kind of roughly and just kind of scratchy motions here. I just want to be able to see that it is still music paper. That's the idea. That got really thick, so this is going to work well. I need to just shift here really quick, guys. I'm going to get really messy really quick. I'm going to pull this one over. It's already curling. It's interesting. The big ones didn't really curl, so get back in screen here. I'm getting more and more used to the new setup, which is nice. So I'm again just applying gesso, right? Oh, did we do? No, we didn't do the white gesso on this. Sorry, I'm off camera. I had a suggestion on a video this morning, a comment on the Crash Your Trash episode 2, where the viewer left a really helpful comment. She said you can mask off your table so that you know what your working area is, especially when trying to get used to a new setup. My problem isn't my work area, it's the fact that my monitor is off to the left. And so when I want to make sure that I'm on camera, if I'm not thinking about it, I shift my body that way as well, and that's when I get off camera. So I'm trying to just peek there kind of out of the corner of my eye, so as not to lose track of where I'm at, but not move my project where my eyes are going. So if that makes any sense. But I appreciate the comments. I love all you guys' suggestions. That's how we learn and grow, and yeah, it's beautiful to share ideas. So that one, I like it. It's a little bit more covered up than some of the other ones, but it's all right. Okay, so while the first side of those is drying, I'm going to go ahead and make my coffee mixture here. So let me just shift some stuff a little bit. It's a little bit hot, as you can imagine. So I'm going to try to not burn myself and try to get this in screen. So I've got my my pot of water and my coffee. I think this is a new jar, so I'm going to have, nope, it's been opened. So I'm just going to sprinkle some coffee in here, and I don't care if it's super dark. I'm also going to add, my husband uses a you know, that kind of coffee thing where you put the thing in a cone and then you just pour your coffee in. This is his leftover coffee from the last couple of days that drips off, so I'm going to just go ahead and pour that in just to use it. And set that aside, and then we're going to go ahead and add our water. I'm not going to add a lot because I want this to be fairly dark. So I'm just going to call that good. I'm going to set this pot aside really quick. Got so much stuff going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this. Let me stir it. I'll just stir it with this brush, this little spatula. So I'm just going to mix that up. Whoop. And then we're going to set this aside and let it cool a little bit while our other papers are drying. So I'm going to pause the camera, make sure that the first side of my papers is dry, and then we can move on to the next step. So let me just set this aside, run out of room here. I'll be back with you. Okay, we're working on side 2. I just wanted to pop on and let you know that on the very first page when I did the when I flipped it over to do the other side, I didn't wait. This was not completely dry. So don't do that because it actually tore the paper. It's going to be fine, but just letting you know that that's the risk that you take. So this is, it's still a little bit cool to the touch, but it is dry. So I'm going to go ahead and flip these over and do the same process on the other side. Okay, so I am at the last one that I'm doing. I had to move them out to my kitchen, to the counter, because I don't have enough room in here and I can't set them on the newspaper that I had put over there that I mentioned before. So I'm just going to do this last one on camera and just talk with you for a second. And then we're going to let these completely dry, and then we'll come in and start doing our coffee dyeing and using the acrylic inks and things that I was talking about in the beginning. So as you can see, this is does warp the paper because this is old paper, and so it's warping, it's curling and all of that, but that's okay because it is stabilizing this very, very thin paper. So again, what I did, in case I wasn't clear, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes, especially when I'm trying to get back in the swing of things, that I'm using clear gesso, and clear gesso allows for the background to stay intact. It doesn't cover up. It will dry clear, I guess is what I'm saying. And then the white gesso is just going to give a little bit more stabilization around the edges. I'm putting that mostly around the edges and a little bit here and there in the middle, because again, that is going to push back some of that print, but it's not going to completely make it go away because we used the clear gesso. So that is that. So I'm just putting a little bit here in the middle, and then we're gonna, I can't pause my camera on the new computer. There is no pause on their camera function in, I think it's like photo, I don't even know what it's called. But there's no pause, so I just have to edit out all the stuff that I don't want. So that's kind of frustrating, but we roll with it, right? So I will be back with you when these are nice and dry, and when I am cleaned up and my desk is cleaned up, and then we'll move on. Okay, I am back. Both of the sides of these are gessoed, and I'm gonna just zap another quick minute just to make sure everything's good and dry. Okay, so just wanted to show you what we have here. It is still kind of, you can feel it's kind of damp just because if it was dry, it wouldn't bend like that. But I'm going to go with it because I want to see how it's going to react to the coffee dyed water that I have over there. So, but I did want to show you what happened when I was very, very premature in my moving of this paper. So this paper here, which is one of my favorites in the stack that I chose, you see how the paper has pulled up here? I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to give it a really interesting effect, especially once it's dried. But it did pull up a layer of the paper, but I think it's going to be okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to pull this over. You're not going to be able to see it entirely. Well, maybe if I switch sides, you guys will be able to see it. Hold on. Let me see if I can balance this. I wonder if I put it this way. Yeah, I don't know. That's not going to really work. So, yeah, you're not going to be able to see my coffee dyed bucket here, unfortunately, guys. I apologize for that. So I'm going to go ahead and dip these in my coffee dyed paper, in my coffee dye. But I do need to move this newspaper because I need a piece of plastic in here so that I can have something to lay this on. So I'm going to be right back again. Okay, since I'm working in such a small space, I pulled out a black plastic bag, and I'm just going to set it over here to my left so that I have a place to put these papers where they're not going to stick to the newspaper, because that was problematic. And I'm just going to lift this up. Sorry for the having to fix all this stuff. I should have, excuse me, pardon me guys, I should have thought of that before I started. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put these into the coffee dye. And while I was off camera, while all this stuff was drying, I did a whole batch of coffee dyed paper and ink. So maybe when that's all dry, I'll do a video of what the paper looks like when I'm done. So I'm just setting this in my pan here, or my little tray. I'm just making sure that's getting all wet on both sides, and then we're going to set it over on the plastic. And I've got to show you this though already. Look at this. Is that amazing or what? Oh my gosh. I have never done this before. I mean, I work with mixed media, I work with gesso and that kind of thing all the time, but I have not done this particular thing. So this is really exciting. So we're going to get this one in there too. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like. This one's not so obvious because it didn't have those tears in it that the big sheet did. So I'm getting coffee all running up my arm here. So we're just going to keep going on here. And there we go, there's that one. So before these are dry, we're gonna go ahead and apply the ink. So that's what we're here for mainly. This wasn't supposed to be really a focus on coffee dyeing as much as the acrylic ink, but I do use the coffee dye first before I do my acrylic ink bits. So I'm just gonna get all these done. Oh, this one looks really cool. I have to show you the texture here before we get a bunch of color on it. Whoa, I'm flipping everywhere. Look at this. That's where the really scrapey part, and I also, because I'm an impatient crafter, I patted it with a paper towel, which actually was pretty darn cool. So I'm glad I did that. I need to shift these over really quick because don't have enough room, and then I'm gonna have to shift them back one at a time because I want you guys to see. I wish I had a better setup for doing this in the studio, and I can't now that I've got the Mac and it's hard set in my studio. I can't like take my camera out into the other room. I suppose I could get my old computer out, but I don't want to do that. So there we go, last page. I only did, what, 5 pages today, but just enough to kind of show you guys what the process is and how I do it. So we're just going to keep this one right here. Actually, let me wipe this desk off because it's sopping with coffee water, which is not bad, but toss that. Well, I might need that again. I'm gonna move my mouse so I don't get it wet. So I'm gonna pull this out, and then we're gonna set it here in view, hopefully. There we go. And oh, that's just so beautiful. Oh, I wish I had tried this earlier. I mean, I knew I could do this, but I just hadn't planned on it. So I'm going to move this coffee water here. Pardon me for that. I can't actually pause the camera. I don't want to start another stream, so you can always, if the video gets too long, you can always fast forward through it. It should be moderately a good speed, so or good length. So I didn't end up using the gold gesso. I had kind of mentioned that, but I think I'll try that another time. So what you do now that it's wet with the coffee, we're going to go ahead and apply some ink. So I'm going to use a little bit of the muted pink and the transparent raw umber. So basically all I do is I ordered some more of this because I'm almost out. It's my favorite color. So I'm just going to drop this on here. Just drop it in spots. And then do close your cap because I've spilled bottles of acrylic ink before, and it's not a fun thing. So, and I'm going to put the pink on. You can kind of sprinkle, and then we're going to spray it with a little bottle. And I might dab some of this off because I don't want to lose everything that I have going on here. So let me grab my paper towels here. Feel all cattywampus here. So I'm just going to kind of dab a little bit just because I don't want it to be too much. And there we go. You could even do it with gold. I've got gold acrylic ink, acrylic ink that I love. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I do with the coffee dyeing is I lay it out, and then when I have one like this and I do the next one, I put that second one on top of this so that we get some of this ink on the back of the other paper. So it's a great way to use all of the ink. So I'm just going to set that over there. And I'm going to pull over the next page. I just adore this texture. Actually, let me wipe this up. So much liquid. Okay. There we go. The paper is very, very wet. So this time we're going to go in again with the transparent raw umber. And I'm going to go ahead and let that move around a little bit first before I add the next color. And you can also pick it up and let it drip down to get that kind of effect. And then you can do this with it just to kind of get that color going all kinds of directions. That's beautiful. And I think this time I'm going to use the, this is Muted Turquoise from the Liquitex Muted Collection. So we're going to get some of this on here too. I don't want to cover everything. So the nice thing with ink is it's fairly transparent. There's acrylic ink. So it's a great thing to use for this so that you can still see your background paper, your music page in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and again take my paper towel and just kind of dab a little bit. I don't want it to be too bold. You could of course do it any way that you choose. This is just what I like to do. So that is page number 2. So this one I'm going to set on top of the other one so that the back of this one gets some ink on it as well. It's a time saver for getting all of your stuff to have ink on it. And the ink is what we're doing right now. So I've got one more big page. So let's bring this one. This is the favorite one. So I want to think a moment about this. This is going to go, I think, in my Paris journal. So, which is not anywhere near being thought about too much, but I should have put gloves on. I hate getting ink on my fingers. So I also have this sap green, which is what I had showed in another, not a video, but I had used paper, and somebody had asked about how I do that. So sap green was the color that I used. So I'm going to use this. This is Sepia from Daler and Rowney. I'll be sure to link this stuff in the video or in the supply list over on my blog. And the link to the blog can be found in the description box. I actually think I don't want another color on this one. I am thinking about that. I'm just going to let this run a little bit. I just love the color. I love the play between water and color, no matter what the medium is. I just adore it. So this is looking very, very dark. I'm actually going to let it drip on the page. I'm going to turn it over so that I can get it on the other side. Oh, that's so cool. And this again is feeling dark, so I'm gonna just dab it up here and there just to. Oh, this is so pretty. This is my favorite one so far. So we're gonna lay this over on the plastic. That's gonna be delightful. So we're gonna grab one of the smaller pages, and we've already got a bunch of ink on the table. So I was gonna use the green. So let's use the green on this. I'm going to go ahead and douse this with some water, or not douse it, spray it with some water, just so that you can see this, the whoosh that is created by this ink. Watch. Magical. Look at that. It's being held up because of the gesso. So the gesso is going to catch that, and it's going to try to kind of constrain it a little bit. But it's absolutely amazing. I'm going to go in with some of the transparent raw umber. And some more water. These are going to take quite a while to dry. It's a lot of ink and water. So I'm just going to, this is not exactly what I was going for here, guys, because I really wanted you to see kind of the ink spots rather than the, you know, full coverage here that you're getting. But it's the same effect. You're basically, I'm gonna dab this up a little bit so I can show you what I mean. So I'm getting rid of some of that fluid, and then I'm just gonna drop some of this sepia in here. My raw umber is getting low, so I'm just gonna use the sepia. So this is what you would do, is you would just put it here and there. It almost looks like lace under here. And then just spritz it just a little bit. This bottle does not work very well. It's my second one. Not super impressed. So I'm just gonna use my finger just to kind of move it a little bit, just so it kind of will stay a little bit more in one place. And then it's actually not gonna, because it's so wet, but that's okay. It is okay. So this is super wet. If it was not quite so wet, it would be a little bit more distinct. But I think you can kind of get the idea of what's going on here. So I'm going to move this one over to the plastic as well. And then we've got one more. And I'm going to just let that drip off because I got a bunch of liquid on there. I'm just going to lay that down and let it kind of get on the back side. And then we're going to flip it over. Ooh, I actually love that because it's kind of a muted, it's muting out that green, so it's not quite so vibrant. I think I'm going to go in with a little bit of the pink on this one just for kicks. It's going to get muted out because we've got brown on the paper here, but that's okay. And then the other side of this one will lay on the one we did previously. So I'm going to try to not, it's hard to have it not run everywhere, but I'm going to just set it over here. And there we go. So I've got a lot of liquid here, so I'm just going to dab. I know you guys can't see this, but I'm just going to dab a little bit of that ink up where it feels like it's puddling up. It's going to take forever to dry. So I'm a mess. My desk is a mess, but this was fantastic. I loved this process. I hope that you enjoyed it too. I would suggest that you put gloves on. I had gloves on when I was doing the coffee dyed paper out at the kitchen table, but I completely forgot to put them back on. So it's okay. They clean up all right. Usually I use fingernail polish or something, but thankfully my natural nails are getting strong, so they can handle it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, if you've ever tried this, if you have tips on how you've done this or anything else you'd like to see, you know, just let me know. I'd be happy to converse with you about that. And I want to bring content that you guys like. And this is actually a paper towel. I'm just sopping up. Look at that. Is that gorgeous or what? I'm just going to wipe up this desk with this paper towel and save it. Look at that. Oh, I love mixed media, you guys. I love it. Okay, so let's see if we've got a mess. We've got quite a mess here. Let's see if we can do the same. Oh, these are baby wipes. This would work too. So I'm just going to wipe up and we're just going to save these baby wipes. This one's kind of looking a little bit muddy, but that's okay. So again, thanks guys so much. Take care. Bye-bye.